Hello everyone, let us see what is vector mask and let us create a wedding album cover using vector mask shapes in Photoshop. So let us start. Vector mask is a mask that uses shapes which are created either with pen tool or with the inbuilt shapes that directly ship in with Photoshop. So here I have taken an image of an Indian couple, a married couple, and also I have selected a background. There is a background with some traditional designs. Now what we will do is, we will use some of the shapes that are directly available in Photoshop, and also we will create a shape using the pen tool and see how the vector mask works. To apply vector mask to the image, we can go to layer menu, and in layer menu we can see here there is vector mask, and the first option is reveal all and the second one is hide all. So I am selecting this image layer and I am going to layer menu and we will go to vector mask and we will select reveal all. So we have created a vector mask over here, and to see the effect of vector mask we have to use the pen tool and create a shape, or we can also use these shapes which directly ship in with Photoshop, which are inbuilt in Photoshop, the rectangle, ellipse, polygon, etc. Right, and I have applied a vector mask, and here we can see a white color thumbnail which is a reveal all vector mask, and which is a vector mask thumbnail. So now we will see the effect of vector mask. So I'll select the pen tool, and the most important thing to remember is here the option has to be path. For vector mask the option has to be path, and also here we have to select combine shapes in case some other option is selected. For example, exclude overlapping shapes or subtract front shape. If these options are selected, change them to combine shapes. So we have to select combine shapes by default. Right. Next, make sure that the vector mask thumbnail is active. See, this is the image thumbnail, but we have to keep the vector mask thumbnail active. Right. So now I will be creating a shape. Let's create a simple heart shape. And just remember, see the bottom, at the bottom we have this design or design background, right? So keep the thumbnail active, vector mask thumbnail active, and now start creating the shape. So I will be creating a simple heart shape. So we can see here. Right. And we can adjust the shape using direct selection tool. We can create some more shapes here. So I am selecting the pen tool and we will create a simple flower shape. Something like this. So I have created a rough shape of a flower. Now we will adjust it using the direct selection tool. So just adjust it. something like this. Right. So then what we can do is we can use the path selection tool and we can move it, or we can also scale it. We'll just scale it and we can keep it here. So something like this, and then hit enter. Right. So here I have created a simple flower shape, and also we can use some of the inbuilt shapes in Photoshop. So here we have some custom shapes. So just go to the custom shape tool, and I have created some custom shapes and saved in this custom shapes panel. Say for example, here I have a butterfly shape. So just I will select this butterfly and then I will create a butterfly shape over here. So something like this, and we can create it a little bit to the left side. So something like this, and we can use the path selection tool and move it slightly. Right. And also we can create some more shapes here. There is one more flower here. So just we can keep creating these shapes. So again I will select a butterfly. So in some places we have butterflies, some places flowers. So we can see here a lot of shapes. Right. So what we can do here is we can also make it more interesting by applying some layer styles to these shapes. So simply double click on the left side of your layer and open the layer styles. And in layer styles, let me start with a simple one, that is stroke. So we can see here I have applied a stroke. Right. So here I have applied a stroke. And let's do something else. Let me remove the layer style. We'll just right click and we'll click on clear layer style. And let me take a duplicate of this layer. Simply hit Ctrl J. And I'm going to remove the vector mask for this layer. Simply right click and select delete vector mask. And I will now convert this image to a black and white image. Simply use Ctrl Shift U to convert the image to black and white. And now let's drag the layer below the vector mask layer. So something like this. And now we will make it more interesting by applying some layer styles. Simply double click on the layer to open layer style dialog, and we will select inner shadow, and we can see here. Right. And also we can just apply stroke also to enhance the effect. Right. We can get different combinations here. Reduce the opacity for this bottom layer, the black and white layer. So simply reduce it so that you can also see the design. You can also see the background design. So now it looks very interesting. To make it more interesting, what we can do is let us remove the layer styles. So simply right click and we will click on clear layer style. And what we'll do is we'll select the mask thumbnail, vector mask thumbnail, and we'll go to window and we'll select properties. And here we can see two options, density and feather. So feather controls the softness around the edges, and density is like a power of vector mask. If you reduce the density, the vector mask power will reduce actually. So we can see here. So let me reduce. So see here, when the density is 0%, you can't see the effect of vector mask. So let me increase it. So we can see here. So we can also try this feather. So what we can do is we can just increase the density here, and now we will see the feather. So if you try to increase the feather, so we can see the edges. The edges are very soft. And let me reduce the opacity here. So now we can see the edges are very soft. So let me increase the reduce the feather. Let's make it more interesting. Let me reduce the density here. So we can see here. And now we will apply layer style. We will select stroke here. And we can see. And also for the stroke, we will apply a gradient. And see here. So we can see instant change. And we can combine stroke with the inner shadow. So different combinations we can get. And the good thing is we can also change these shapes a little bit. Let me change this heart shape. We can add some extra points here simply by using add anchor point tool, and we can just move these points. So something like this. Right. And we can just experiment. We can just take a duplicate of this layer, and then we can just select the vector mask thumbnail. We can increase the density, and also we can just change the stroke here to normal color, and we can see the combinations. So different combinations we can get. So this can be useful for designing albums, wedding albums. So that is a good thing about vector masks. We will select the bottom layer here, and we will reduce its opacity so that we can also see the background design. See? So we can see the background design over here, and we can also see the gradient as well as the stroke. So now it looks very interesting. We have seen vector mask with the reveal all option. We will also see the vector mask with the hide all option. So simply select hide all. See, the moment you apply hide all, now the image is hidden. So to see the image, again we will select the pen tool and make sure that the vector mask thumbnail is active, and also keep the option here as path, and make sure that the combine shapes is active. Right. And just we will do the same thing. We will just create a simple heart shape. You can create any other shape if you wish. Right. So we can just scale it. We can just adjust these points. Right. And what else we can do is, in case we want to apply the vector mask not from the layer menu but from the layers panel, so there is something we can do. I will just delete the vector mask. I will apply the vector mask by holding Ctrl. Simply hold Ctrl and click on this mask thumbnail at the bottom of the layers panel. So now we have applied a vector mask, and we will select the pen tool, and we will just create some shape, or better what we'll do is we will select the inbuilt shapes. I will select this ellipse shape, and then make sure that the option is path, and make sure that the mask thumbnail, vector mask thumbnail is active, and we can just create an ellipse. Something like this. We can select the path selection tool and then move this ellipse a little bit up, or we can scale it down. Right. So something like this. And we can create any number of ellipses if we want. So something like this. And what else we can do? We can just take a duplicate of the image. We'll just right click and we'll say delete vector mask, and we will convert it into a black and white image, and we will just move it below the vector mask layer. And then, like before, we will apply some layer styles like inner shadow, stroke, and we can slightly increase the stroke. And also, we'll create a layer below the black and white or grayscale image layer, and we will apply a pure black color to this background, and we can slightly reduce the opacity. We can see here. So we can create interesting things. These can be used for wedding albums, or let us say invitations, or anything you think related to some functions or occasions. We can add some extra attraction to this image. So what we can do is, we can simply take a new layer above the image layer, and we can make it into a clipping mask, this empty layer into a clipping mask, so that whatever you do in this empty layer will be confined to the image layer. So just Alt and click in between these two layers. Right. And now I will activate the gradient tool, and we will select a rainbow colors, different colors, and then I will simply drag. So now we have applied these gradient colors, and then what we'll do is we will combine these colors with a blending mode. We'll select a blending mode such as overlay. So we can see here, so overlay has applied some extra bit of attraction to the image. Right. So this is one thing that we can do. One more thing that we can do is, let me bring it back to normal. Let me delete this layer. And also, I will also remove the layer styles. Simply right click and click on clear layer style. And what we can do is, we can convert the vector mask to layer mask. So how to convert the vector mask to layer mask? Simply right click on the vector mask thumbnail, and here we have an option, rasterize vector mask. So now it's no longer the vector mask, it's a layer mask. So after you have converted it into a layer mask, you can use brushes. So you can use different kind of brushes, and we can see different combinations. We can select the natural brushes, and we can use white as a foreground color, and we can simply enhance the effect. So see here, something like this. You can also experiment with different types of brushes. We have something like these butterfly brushes or flower brushes. So let's try to experiment with them. So see here, let me reduce the size. So something like this. Right. And to make it more interesting, we'll give a layer style for the last time. So we can see. But let's not give it stroke, let's give it inner shadow. Inner shadow will be a little bit interesting. So we can see here. Right. So this is all about vector mask. So you can do a lot of interesting things. You can combine vector mask and layer mask and do a number of interesting things in Photoshop. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Please do subscribe, like, share, and if you have anything to say, do comment. See you again.